Welcome to another episode, everyone, and this is part 2 of why Monster Cody was never afraid of Big U and or the Rolling 60s. And when we left off, Monster Cody had been accused, even by his mother, of cutting off someone's arms from Rolling 60s, him and some other individuals from H-Ray Gangsta, and dropped this individual off in front of Jefferson High School without his arms, with his arms missing. And Monster Cody had brought back this individual's arm and was walking around with him. And he got the name Monster, he had detailed, because someone had hit him in the face. He chased the individual down. Him and his friends beat the individual so bad that he disfigured his face. And when the news reporters had reported it, they said whoever did this to this man was a monster. And that's where he got his name from.
Now, it looks like karma has caught up with him. He might just end up rotting in prison for a long time. One of the most shocking allegations being leveled against Big U is his alleged involvement in the 2021 murder of Rayan Williams. Back in 2021, Big U started a record label called Unique Music and signed up-and-coming rappers from the West Coast. One of them was Rayan Williams, but somewhere along the line, things got messy.
Mr. Henley engaged in a murder of a musician signed to his label in 2021 and dumped the victim's body.
It's not exactly clear what sparked the tension between them, but what we do know is that Rayan ended up dropping a diss track aimed at Big U, and that may have cost him his life.
They do say that part of the investigation involves the murder of another young rapper back in Las Vegas, that the murder was over, are you ready for this? A diss. That he had written something in a song supposedly talking bad about Big U, and that is why he ended up getting murdered.
In the song, Rayan called Big U a bro that made some money, basically downplaying his power, and then took it a step further by saying, "This song can get me killed for thinking ish funny." Even crazier, he rapped about getting shot in the face with a .38 revolver that would leave no trace.
Referring to Big U as bro that makes some money. And that unnamed rapper may get shot in the face for thinking that his use of the studio and representation by Unique Music is funny.
5 days after dropping the track, Las Vegas police found his body in a ditch. He had been shot in the face with a revolver. And the cops think Big U is the one who pulled the trigger.
But the track was eerie given what happened next. Just days later, the rapper was shot in the face.
And here's where it gets even darker. Big U had known Rayan since he was a kid. He was actually his football coach back in the day, but that history didn't stop him from allegedly setting him up. According to court documents, Big U's label, Unique Music, flew Rayan from California to Las Vegas in January 2021. They put him up in an Airbnb, and he was supposed to spend the week recording new music at the studio. But when Rayan missed one of the sessions, Big U and his right-hand man, Sylvester Robinson, drove out to Vegas to check on him. When they pulled up to the Airbnb, they asked Rayan why he didn't go to the studio, and he told them he didn't have a ride. The next day, Rayan, Big U, and Sylvester Robinson finally made it to the studio together. No one knows exactly what went down inside, but what we do know is that a few hours later, Rayan was dead.
January 24th of 2021, Big U arrived to a studio and RW was there, recording until around midnight. A little after 12:30 a.m., Big U left the studio and his phone stopped reporting his location.
Surveillance footage caught him going back to the Airbnb at around 1 a.m. He was seen getting out of the car, grabbing his suitcase, and then hopping back in. He was supposed to stay in Vegas for another day, but Big U allegedly had other plans. According to investigators, Big U drove him out to the desert, shot him in the face, and then went right back to the studio like nothing happened.
About 45 minutes later, surveillance video at the Airbnb showed RW exiting the passenger side of the car and entering the Airbnb. A few minutes later, he left the Airbnb with a suitcase, got back into the car, and left. RW wasn't seen again. He wasn't even supposed to leave Vegas until the next day, but he never returned to the Airbnb. Instead, his body was found on the side of the road near Interstate 15.
A witness later told cops that Big U showed back up at the studio at around 3 a.m. looking drenched in either sweat or water. When they asked him what happened, he told them he had just come back from the gym. But just a few hours later, cops found Rayan's body dumped in a ditch, and Big U didn't stop there. According to the indictment, he tried to cover his tracks. He allegedly took recording equipment out of the studio after the murder and told someone to get rid of the surveillance footage from that night. Investigators also believe there was some kind of fight at the studio before Rayan got killed, which is why Big U wanted the video gone.
Witnesses told detectives an associate of Big U removed the video recording equipment from the studio a few days after the homicide, including video that would have shown RW and Big U at the studio before he was murdered.
After Rayan's death, Big U knew the heat was coming, so he allegedly had one of his homies drive his car and stay at his house. That way, if the cops pulled over the car or showed up at the crib, it would buy him some time to escape before they actually caught him. Nobody really knows the exact reason Big U allegedly killed Rayan, but this murder is what put him on the FBI's radar. Just a month after Rayan's death, the feds officially launched an investigation into Big U Enterprise in 2000.
Dang, just some, okay, so that's getting to the bottom of why Big U is in there, at least according to the feds. That this is when Big U got on the feds' radar. They essentially said in the paperwork that they had started watching Big U about 2022 or so, maybe 2020, something like that. But we can see now that, okay, it was about a month after this situation with Rayan. And we can see what they are alleging here, which is that the man made a diss song, said whatever in the diss song. And they're alleging Big U drove out there with an associate, with someone, got to do it in the studio. Well, we heard it. And then the song said, you have to be careful, man. The tongue, it does speak life and death. Rest in peace to that young brother. Rest in peace to that individual. This is not about victim blaming or victim shaming. It's just about facts that the tongue does speak life and death. We have to be careful what we say, how we say it, when we say it, where we say it. Doesn't make anything right. I don't know what happened here. I don't know. We're just talking about what Big U is accused of, obviously. He hasn't been found guilty of anything. You're supposed to be innocent until you're proven guilty. So if this happened back in 2021, and they're just now making it, an arrest a year or so ago, so 2025. Sometimes, of course, some cases take time, and if they started watching him about a month later, and he had tried to cover his tracks, they are alleging, saying that they have something on surveillance, but they were saying that he was trying to get rid of the surveillance tape. Told them to get rid of this stuff, get rid of the equipment, get rid of the surveillance, but somehow they still got their hands on some of it. So maybe the tracks were not covered all the way for what they are alleging anyway. But again, we don't know what happened. But just think about the irony of it all. Of course, the individual there, Rayan, is talking about being shot in the face with a 380 or whatever he said, making a joke and a mockery of it and saying this ish is funny and that I might get killed for this and all of this stuff. I mean, we just have to be careful, man, with what we say. Again, the tongue does, it speaks life and death. It really does. 5 days later, he was dead, shot in the face as he had put in the rap song. Make of it what you will. At the end of the day, that's what happened. However it happened, whoever did it, that's what ended up happening to him after he made a song saying that very thing.
2004, after serving time, he rebranded himself as a community leader by starting a charity called Developing Options. On paper, Developing Options was supposed to help kids stay out of the streets and get involved in sports. But according to the feds, Big U was using the charity as a front to move dirty money. The city of LA even funded Developing Options through the Gang Reduction and Youth Development GRID program, giving Big U over $500,000 a year since 2015. That money was supposed to go toward at-risk youth, but instead Big U was allegedly pocketing a huge chunk of it.
Funding a South LA-based charity, Developing Options, which purports to help at youth risk escape gang life and escape the perils of gangs in high crime areas.
And it wasn't just government money. Even celebrities got caught up in the scam. According to the indictment, Draymond Green and Shaquille O'Neal both donated $20,000 each to Developing Options, thinking they were supporting a good cause. But instead of helping kids, Big U allegedly transferred the money straight into his personal accounts.
Mr. Henley is accused of embezzling donations made by celebrities, professional athletes, and businesses to his charity, developing options.
The indictment also reveals that Big U was shaking down weed dispensaries, forcing them to pay him $25,000 a month just to operate without problems. One dispensary owner couldn't afford the payments anymore, so Big U sent his goons to rob the shop. Armed men stormed in, stole cash and a bunch of weed. Then later that same day, Big U called the shop owner to his house. When the owner showed up, Big U had all the stolen money and product laid out on the table and told him, "That's how you rob yourself." Then, just to add insult to injury, he made the guy pay him another $10,000 to avoid getting robbed again. But Big U wasn't done yet. He wanted to rob more dispensaries. He told the same shop owner to help him set up other weed stores, promising him a cut of the money. As proof of how serious he was, Big U even handed the guy back some of the money that had just been stolen from his own shop. According to the cops, Big U had his hands in extortion schemes all over the city. One of the wildest incidents in the indictment goes back to 2021, when Big U threw a birthday party for him.
Well, we don't know. Again, these are just accusations. Big U has been found guilty of absolutely none of these charges, to this point. So you can't necessarily speculate on any of this stuff, from the murder on to this so-called guerrilla stuff that he was doing. Nevertheless, anyone that is doing that to their own people, well, no, that's not going to work, because if you're not doing it universally, if you're not applying pressure to everyone, to all of these celebrities, if you're not applying pressure to Kim Kardashian or Brad Pitt, then you shouldn't be applying pressure to anyone else. And that's just it. But this happens all of the time. The mafia, they apply pressure to individuals working stores and have corporations in their neighborhood, and it's their own people as well. At the end of the day, nevertheless, that's not to justify it. We just have to be careful with what we do and how we treat our people.
At a nightclub, he told the club owners that he was going to bring in some huge rappers like T.I. and Wiz Khalifa, so they struck a deal. Big U would get 30% of the money made at the bar that night. But when Big U and his crew pulled up, things took a turn. Instead of just collecting his cut, he forced one of the club owners into a back room and extorted him for $30,000. The feds had already been watching Big U and his crew for years, and this was just another incident on a long list of crimes they were tracking. They had wiretaps, surveillance, and paid informants, and they were building a solid case. At one point, the feds actually recorded Big U plotting a wiretap, surveillance, and paid informants. So they've been watching them since 2021, since Rayan came up dead in a ditch, shot in the face. That's when they got on the Big U. However, whoever put them on the Big U, however they decided to get on to him, however they got the information that it was probably over this diss song, whatever the case is, this is, again, when supposedly they began to watch him and get onto his case a month or so after that killing. So now they have paid informants, according to the narration here, and I'm sure this is all in the Fed paperwork. We've seen some of it, but they have had paid informant, had surveillance. They had individuals running back saying things. They were essentially setting him up, and they're letting him do all of this extortion, this alleged extortion, with individuals. Like they say, he was supposed to get 30% of the cut at this here party or whatever. He goes and gets his 30%, but still tells the owner, "Hey, come in the back. Well, give me 30 more thousand, boy." It took 30 more thousand from him or whatever. But the feds at this time are watching. Draymond Green, Shaquille O'Neal wired them $20,000 for development options for the children, do something in the neighborhood for the kids. And they say he wired it straight to his account, kept that $40,000. This is the alleged. This is all alleged in the indictment. Doesn't mean he's guilty of it, but it's all alleged. Robbery. It all started when a celebrity rapper got jacked for his studio equipment. Big U heard about it and decided he was going to rob the guys who stole it. Some of the stolen equipment had an Apple AirTag on it, meaning they could track it in real time. Big U and his crew loaded up their guns, tracked the thieves down, and were about to hit the lick. But at the last second, they spotted cops in the area and decided to call it off. That wiretap was a major piece of evidence in the Fed's case, proving that Big U was still operating like a crime boss, even though he was trying to convince the public that he had changed. But in a different wiretap conversation, Big U pretty much exposed himself. He told someone, "If I ever had a problem with any man, color, creed, king, or kind, the issue would have been resolved. He wouldn't be here, or I wouldn't be here. I'm still who they say I am, and I'll pull up on your block right now and show up and show out." That's what happened to the last dude that thought I retired. The feds also had informants feeding them information from the inside. At one point, an informant actually handed Big U money while undercover. But what Big U didn't know was that the cash was coming straight from the feds. They recorded the whole thing, giving them video proof that Big U was still moving money under the table. One of the most surprising parts of the whole situation is that Big U's own son is a rising star in the NFL. Diane Henley, a linebacker for the Los Angeles Chargers, is in a position to take care of the whole family. He's out here making legit money in the league. But instead of chilling and living off his son's success, Big U just couldn't leave the streets alone. Now, instead of enjoying his son's rise in the NFL, he's facing the possibility of life in...
Yeah, he's facing the possibility. Okay, this was about, part one anyway, was certainly about why Monster Cody did not fear Big U. And this was the continuation of that. Go and check out part one, please. Welcome to the Inside Story here with me, Damian Porter. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. And there you have it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Big U, that really explains some of the indictment in detail, actually. I never really got into the meat of the indictment. Just know loosely what he was accused of, extortion or this and that, but never really got into the details of it. I didn't even know, for example, that Shaquille O'Neal supposedly, allegedly, and Draymond Green supposedly, allegedly sent him $20,000, and that supposedly, allegedly, he transferred it to his own bank account. You know, and these other things that he extorted someone else out of $30,000, had someone at the weed shop, different weed shops, making them pay $25,000 a month. Hell, that's what they make. How you gonna give them $25,000 a month? I don't know, but so, jeez, this is the alleged. This is what they're alleging, and he's up against it right now. He's not 15 years, 25 years old, 20 years old. He's getting up to, I think he's 59, 60 years old now. Can't afford to do any real time. That's it. 20-year sentence is basically a life sentence. So we'll see what happens with the Big U situation. But Monster Cody at one point was absolutely nuts. Jeez, apparently, I mean, this guy was freaking nuts. And that's how a lot of gang members were. They took this stuff serious. And it was just us, of course, harming one another. But Monster Cody began to do a lot better in his later life. Became very militant, had begun to study, changed his name to Sanyika Shakur, and was pushing peace in the community. Just, we all have some sort of demon sometimes. Apparently, perhaps, maybe some of his that caught up to him in one way or another. Rest in peace to that brother, as I said, man. And to Tookie as well. I mentioned him in part one. And again, we'll see what happens with Big U. But again, all of us be careful with what we say and what we do on the internet or anywhere else in real life. The tongue is extremely powerful. It is. And we often say that, we grew up saying that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt. But that's just not true. And someone should have told us that in fact, it's the total opposite. That sometimes people would rather have a stick and stone to break their bone than for you to say what you said to them. Because what you said will hurt forever, will last forever, whereas the broken bone perhaps will heal itself. The blackened eye will heal itself. Just sock me and blacken my eye instead of saying this, which cuts so deep, it's not on a surface level. It's not going to go away. So at any rate, he said what he said inside of the rap song. Then 5 days later, he came in dead for whatever reason, whoever did it. Of course, as we know, as we heard, Big U was accused of it. He's in jail for it now. Has been in jail for it for over a year at the end of the day, but hasn't been convicted of anything. So we'll see what happens with this case. It has to be coming to a head soon enough. It has to be getting the trial soon enough, but it's the feds, and they're probably not in the biggest of rushes. Big U is probably not in a big rush either. With his life hanging in the balance, he wants to make sure he has everything together before he goes to trial and risk his life. Whew. We'll see what happens, man. Let me know what you think in the comments. Stay safe and stay free, people.